I hook up with my sister's boyfriend at family reunion. My fiancé John and I were looking forward to getting to know my family better over the course of a few days before my parents left for their long-awaited vacation. We had made plans to part ways and then spend some quality time with one another, during which we would have caught up on each other's life. I had no idea that this journey would turn out to be significantly more interesting than I had ever anticipated before it began. As we reached the home of my parents, there was an overwhelming sense of excitement mixed in with the sound of laughter. My parents were overjoyed to see us, and they couldn't wait to introduce us to my sister's new boyfriend. My sister recently started dating someone else. John and I looked at each other and shared a look of curiosity as we wondered what this introduction would be like. Although we had heard a lot about him, we had not yet had the opportunity to meet him. When the door was opened, my sister and her boyfriend came walking in hand. My sister's boyfriend, John, and I exchanged polite grins while simultaneously trying to hide our curiosity. I was taken aback when I first set eyes on Matthew because I sensed an odd pull, almost like a magnetic connection between us, which was completely unexpected. It seemed as if time stood still for a second, and everything around us seemed to fade away into the background. We greeted one another with friendliness and sincerity, engaging in light conversation in the interest of getting to know one another. Matthew's personality was quite endearing, and it was clear that he took an honest interest in our household. As a result, he left a favorable impression on everyone. Throughout the course of the evening, we engaged in activities such as telling stories, making jokes, and laughing, and it seemed easy and natural. As the hours went by, I couldn't help but notice that Matthew would frequently shoot brief glances in my direction, and I couldn't help but feel good about it. The pull that I had earlier experienced was also sensed by him, and as a result, I am left feeling both interested and conflicted. I made an effort to rid myself of the feeling while simultaneously reminding myself of my dedication to John and the life that we had created together. However, the connection that Matthew and I share became stronger over time, making it more difficult to ignore. We made the decision to go for a stroll by the lake in the area. My sister, Matthew, and I were joined by John as we took a leisurely stroll along the peaceful route, the sound of our footfall mingling with the soft rustle of the leaves. Despite the lovely setting, all I could think about was the tension that had built up between Matthew and me without ever being expressed. In the end, I was able to get some time alone with Matthew. While my sister and John went to the car because she forgot her phone in it, Matthew and I sat on a bench and looked out at the tranquil waters. Finally, I was unable to keep the turmoil that was going on inside of me a secret any longer, and I found the strength to speak up. "Matthew, I can't deny that there's something between us," I said, my voice tinged with a mixture of remorse and bafflement as I spoke those words to him. "But I'm engaged to John, and I can't express how much I love him." Matthew gazed at me with eyes that were brimming with a combination of empathy and comprehension. Then he came closer to me and we were going to kiss, but then we pushed each other and he gently admitted it. "I feel it too," he said, and then he came closer to me. "However, we are unable to go back on the promises that we've made. It wouldn't be right to do that to any of the people involved." He continued, "We should keep a respectable distance between the two of us." The remainder of our time together was filled with both happiness and sadness. We created wonderful memories with my family, appreciating each passing moment despite our physical distance from one another. During the course of supper, as I was making my way upstairs, I was pushed and shoved into a corner by someone, and it turned out to be Matthew. We were both taken aback when we saw each other for the first time because he had mistaken me for my sister when she was on the stairs, and he had planned to pull her into the corner and kiss her. However, when he saw me, that was the moment when we both lost control of ourselves, and we shared a passionate kiss. Thankfully, we did not get caught because the place was crowded with our loved ones and we did not want to hurt anyone. After the kiss, I rushed to the dining area without uttering a word and sat with John. Then Matthew came and sat with my sister. After dinner, we said our goodbyes to each other as my parents had a flight to catch, so they wanted to have their 8 hours of sleep before starting their vacations. The next morning, my sister went to her college because of some last-minute submission and got stuck there because of bad weather. Since I was unprepared to deal with both my sister and John at the same time, I decided to stay in bed. At the time, I was unaware that Matthew and I were the only ones at home. As John drove my parents to the airport, I thought I was all alone in the home. I had the urge to take a drink of coffee and brushed off everything that had happened, so I got out of bed and went to the kitchen. I had the impression that I was alone in the kitchen, so I was startled when Matthew walked in there. When he saw me startled, he came to check on me because he was concerned that I was in danger. After I regained my composure and disclosed to him that I had been frightened, we both had a good laugh. And once again, we were so closed off and unable to handle our emotions and feelings, and as a result, this caused us to go to bed, and we consummated the whole time of poor weather, which resulted in us being left alone in the house. When I heard John's car, Matthew and I was lying in bed entwined with each other when I sprang out of bed, got dressed, and ran to a different room as quickly as possible. When John returned home, he instructed me to begin packing because it is time for us to head back to our residence. Shortly thereafter, my sister also arrived, and she was completely drenched. My sister apologized for leaving him alone. Matthew answered my sister's apology that he was left alone by saying that he had a lovely time at her parents' house. I cracked a grin, started packing, and headed back to my flat with a cheery expression on my face.